Good morning from the West Coast of United States. Welcome to another edition of the Toxic Happy Hour with your hosts, PUBLORD.HODL and yours truly, Danish HODL. This is the Toxic Happy Hour where we are toxic towards scams that delay the adoption of global sound money. Today, our very special guest, Ali Tahinis, that is rumored to make some of the best shawarmas on the North American continent, and also using Bitcoin as a corporate treasury. But Ali, first off, so we have this tradition. We like to do a lot of non-paid product placement, and we like to have a drink sometimes. What are you drinking today?
I am drinking water, my friend.
Very good. A healthy choice. Good choice.
Yeah. Water, and then smoke a little hookah, electric hookah. Right here.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
And PUBLORD, what are you drinking today?
Yeah, it's after work for me, so I'm authorized to have a few pints of Indian Pale Ale. So we're good to go.
Few, I love it.
Yeah, few.
So, Ali, tell us more about the story with Tahinis and how you decided to save the company's assets or savings in Bitcoin.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys for having me, guys, Dan and Pub. I'm a big fan of you both, and appreciate you inviting me to the show. And so we are actually new Bitcoiners. We're a class of 2020, and we really went down the rabbit hole during the pandemic, during the craziness of March and April, and ever since then we were fascinated by it. It grew from this fun, cool investment idea to probably our greatest investment idea, to a savings technology, to a way of life at the end. And that's the beauty about Bitcoin, is that it's a lot more than when you first have a look at it. So yeah, the more we learned, the more we were fascinated by it, and we put our entire savings and wealth and monetary energy into it.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I heard you on some prior interviews. I sort of the background of the story of you being in Egypt or a lot of the unrest and going to Canada, and I know your dad had to continue working, I believe, in Saudi Arabia. And ultimately you started this, and it's cool that you got involved with Bitcoin. And I know, with Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, he really jumped down the rabbit hole and learned so much so quickly. It's mind-boggling. Now his timing, I know you talked previously about your business and how it was affected by the COVID-19. But did you guys? I know personally you had started with Bitcoin, but did you guys start before MicroStrategy, around the same time, or did seeing him go in boldly? Because I know they didn't really announce a purchase, I think, until August. But I wasn't sure if you were before him or after him.
Yeah, so the Bitcoin journey started with me personally, with my investing portfolio, and I was very fortunate enough to kind of avoid the crash. In January of this year, I sold most of my investments, and I was sitting mostly in cash, 75%.
Right.
Nice.
And yeah, I was honestly lucky. I didn't predict it or anything. It was just a gut feeling that I had.
Yep.
And so yeah, so when the crash happened in March, I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to buy everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I started doing that, and I bought pretty much everything after the crazy March month.
Wow.
Mostly stocks,
Uh-huh.
and then I bought a little bit of Bitcoin pretty much out of curiosity, and I thought it was cool, right?
Yeah.
And after I bought it, that's when I started to do the research on it, right? And the more I researched, I came. So one of the first things I stumbled upon was The Number Zero and Bitcoin by Robert Breedlove.
Yep.
And that was a big, that was a big article. I had to, read it multiple times.
Yeah.
And it just clicked for me. And it clicked for me that this is something huge. It's a new form of money, something like, we've never seen before, right? And the concept of absolute scarcity just made sense for me as somebody that owns and runs a business and invests his money. So I bought more Bitcoin then. Then I bought Saifedean's book, The Bitcoin Standard. I devoured that in like 3 days. Bought more Bitcoin. Kept reading more articles, the bullish case for Bitcoin and many others. And the more I learned, the more I bought, until it was like it started grow. So my stock started going up, and so I started selling those and then buying more Bitcoin as they were going up. And then as I was going through that, I kind of dragged my partners down with me, and everything, they went down the rabbit hole, personally as well. And at that point, we all became Bitcoiners, with all of us having more than 50% of our portfolios in Bitcoin. Some more than others, but more than 50% nonetheless. And then we ran out of money, right?
Yeah.
So we were thinking, this is a great opportunity, and the company's doing well, because at that point, like, we've recovered from the crash. By the way, during all this, like, business was going through hell, right?
Jeez.
And
with COVID, you mean?
Yeah, with the lockdowns and everything, and we just didn't know what was going on. Like, everybody was terrified. So yeah, it was a tough time for the business, but the business came back by May, June, July. We were back to normal, and and our reserves, we're always healthy, but we're starting to grow as well.
Yeah.
So we said, why don't we buy Bitcoin with the company's reserves, right?
Yep.
And this happened, like, in many meetings. Like, we talked about it several times, but we never really, like, pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah.
And then the Michael Saylor news came out, and that basically tipped us over the edge. It was confirmation of what we were thinking, what was going to happen in the future, and we just went all in with the company. And then we tweeted about it a week after Michael Saylor announced his announcement.
Yep.
It's really interesting. So Ali, you decided to put like all the reserve assets, or like basically the dirty fiat, or the money on the balance sheet, into Bitcoin. How practically, practically, how did you do that? Like, do you open a Kraken account and bought Bitcoin, and that account is in the name of the company, or like how do you go about this on a like daily or logistically level? So people out there, others with the same idea, could kind of figure out how to go about it.
Yeah, 100%. So personally, we buy and hold our own Bitcoins, but for the company, because we were so early, there was no roadmap on how to hold your coins as a company, right? And we didn't know the regulatory restrictions, or if if there was any at that point. And so what we did as a company, we just bought the Bitcoin Trust for the company, and it's sort of and it's very, because it's just through our brokerage account as a company. We have a brokerage account. We buy it through there, and that's how we can keep accumulating more with ease from the company. Everything's transparent, and yeah, so that's how we did it. I'm a big advocate of holding your own Bitcoin, but for us as a company, it's a little bit more tricky because you want to be transparent. You don't want people to think that oh, you're trying to hide money or whatnot. So we want it to be as transparent as possible. And now there's Bitcoin trusts that you could do that with. You could do in the States, you could use GBTC, and in Canada you could use QBTC, and these are both Bitcoin trusts. There's not a lot of them out there. It's just these two right now. So, but they're viable options.
Yeah, it's funny because people were talking about how with Michael Saylor, he was able to do this so quickly because he owned, I believe, 72% of the company, and a lot of the people on the board anyway were into Bitcoin. And so it's good that like you and your partners are all on the same page. What I can't get my head around, there's some guy out there with a company who's been wanting to do this from $6,000 Bitcoin, and he can't get anyone to go on board with him. And now he's got to come in at 20,000. There's someone just crying.
100%. And we wanted to come out with the announcement right away because we want to encourage medium and small businesses to do that with their companies, because the medium and small businesses right now are struggling way more than big corporations, right?
Yeah.
And Bitcoin is this like beautiful opportunity that you could front run the incoming wave that we all know is coming. It's just that not a lot of people know that. Almost all people don't know that right now. So yeah, we're advocates of coming public. And ever since we came out with the announcement, we found like other businesses like DMing us, telling us they did it with their business, and other businesses came out publicly about it. So it's been pretty inspiring for us to see that. I love that shit, man.
Yeah. It's funny. I marked down. I had three that I remember when you came out, and MicroStrategy, of course, but also, and I forget the name of this company, but I think his name is Chris Glimmer.
Yes.
As a company, and like on his webpage, he's got I think it's a beautifully written piece about why they went into Bitcoin, and I mean, it's perfectly worded. It's so well, as you and I know, the outsider, sometimes they don't get it, but it's so rational as he lays out this argument. So I personally remember the three of you. I know others have been out there now, but to me, you guys are like the original three to do this. So hats off to you, man.
Yeah, thank you. And we've just been inspired by the Bitcoiners, honestly. Like we've seen that inspiration. Like we've been inspired by the Bitcoiners because they all did it, right?
Yeah.
We're not actually, when we first came in, we didn't think everybody was like all in like that. We were thinking, it's part of their portfolio, right? So when we first came out, I was starting to push this narrative. I'm telling like people on Twitter, like, guys, you need to have at least more than 50% of your portfolio into this. Yeah. And then what I realized is that they all do, anyways. And so yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see businesses. And Chris Gimmer, like CEO of Snappa, that's one.
That's it.
There's other businesses like Preston Pish.
Of course, yeah, Preston,
podcast, right? His company, like he has a media company, right? His company is pretty much he never disclosed percentage, but it's I'm sure it's over 50 at this point.
Yeah.
And lots of others. There's a company called Float in Toronto. It's like this. They do like spa services and stuff like that. There's a liquor company. I don't remember what it was called. But yeah, that came out also publicly, and Unchained like wrote a full blog about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be part of this.
So I'm curious because since you're public about it, and you said other companies have approached you, what's your feeling? Because as we're all waiting for that, the new company to make a press release, and we're like, yes, this confirms what we've been saying or thinking for years. It's great to see it happening, but if you talk to them a bit earlier, what's your take on like how many are actually considering this, and how long will it go before we see more announcements like yours and MicroStrategy?
So Dan, I think they're all coming. At this point, there's like, if you think about it from a business side of it, what's the downside of integrating Bitcoin to your treasury, right? Almost none at this point, in this point of time, right? Bitcoin's at like a $350 billion market cap. It's like unstoppable at this point. And there's benefits for especially tech companies to integrate it to their platforms. So you've seen it with Square, PayPal, and you're gonna see it with Apple Pay and Google Pay and Facebook, and they can only add to their business. So it makes no sense for them not to do it. That's the way we see it. So we expect them to all come in, and my view is, okay, if you can figure out all of this, and that all the big corporations, the S&P 500 is coming, and institutions are coming, right? Bitcoin is the fairest and hardest money, and it's not gonna give a shit about your feelings, right? Yeah. So it's gonna solve like the fairness problem, but it's not going to solve the inequality problem if you're the last person to buy it. So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so when you're being consulting, of course, everyone has different levels of risk and what they started. So when they talk to you, do you tell them, hey, you know what, at least start with 50% of your reserves and add in, or do you say start at 25? What do you have them this dollar cost average in? What do you recommend to a business, or just go all in now? Because hey, people, I FOMO'd in myself, and I've dollar cost average since. But at this price point, near all-time highs, would you tell them to go all in, even right now, or just dollar
honestly,
cost average?
I never give advice on what percentage you should be putting. That's a very personal decision, and it's really up to the business owner and your conviction of Bitcoin. But I really just try to come at it from the understanding Bitcoin part and like first principles, and just try to talk about Bitcoin, right? Whatever the amount people put into it, it's fully up to them. So that's the way we approach that.
Ali, I'd love to hear. So since you guys allocated all the savings in the company around, was it August? I think Bitcoin was around 10,000. So since then, now we're at pretty much 20,000. Have you guys made most money from selling shawarma or from owning Bitcoin?
So yeah, it's we're pretty happy with the choice that we made, and at the time it seemed we were a little scared, to be honest, because we kind of staked our reputation on it. But yeah, we're pretty happy with what we did. I can't say if we're making more or less than what we made selling shawarmas, but yeah, we're pretty happy.
Yeah, I can imagine. So on that, on that note, what's your story with shawarma, and like, what's the best shawarma you ever had? If you're not allowed to say tahinis, like, as a kid, when was your story? What's your story with shawarma?
Okay, so actually, I grew up in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, and it was kind of like between both countries. A few years here, a few years there. We were kind of like a nomad family, and I went to university in Egypt, and then after I graduated, the Egyptian Revolution happened, and then I moved to Canada. We're also Canadian citizens, like we have dual citizenships. So we moved to Canada, and we wanted to start our careers here, me and my brother. So as soon as we came here, we started looking for a business to buy, and we kept looking until we found this restaurant, this Middle Eastern restaurant, and we just bought it. And we've been in the restaurant industry ever since. So
Nice.
it was never like I grew up, eating shawarmas or anything like that.
But what's the best? What's the best shawarma for you?
So the best shawarma you can have in the world right now is at Tahini's restaurant, and you can come try it for yourself. You can quote me on that. I guarantee it, my friend.
All right. Fair enough. Puppy, what's your favorite shawarma? What's your story?
Yeah, so the nature of my job and just personal travels, I've been to over 90 countries. Okay.
Oh,
Almost
nice.
The shawarma to me is the most brutally underrepresented food in America. No one in America has any clue about the brilliance of this and how there isn't a shawarma stand. And that, look, like you say, when one Bitcoin can buy you a Tahini startup, yeah, maybe I'll just throw one in my little hometown here and do it.
Absolutely.
So I remember working. We were in Algeria, Algiers, and there was a shawarma stand that I was with a group. There was, I think, 10 of us, and like clockwork, we were going from work. We'd go back to our hotel, and the guy running the shawarma stand, whenever he saw us, man, he just got this big smile on his face because he knew he was selling 20 shawarmas. We ordered one chicken, one beef. And so he and those guys there, man, I couldn't believe how quickly they could knock out 20 shawarmas. But I tell you, we probably paid his rent for 5 years, but by the time being there for a month, and we're giving them tips. They love this. But hey, the two things you gotta have great. The French fries got to be perfect in there. You gotta have a good ratio of the French fries and the sauce. You gotta have a good. You don't want it all soupy in there, but you don't want it dry. So if you can master the sauce and the French fry ratio, it's all over.
We're talking some garlic in that sauce. That's my favorite.
The garlic sauce is key.
Yes,
I agree.
The toppings you put on it is key. The amount of chicken you put on it is key. The bread you use is key.
Yeah.
The shawarma for me, it's like art, right?
Yeah.
You can make 20 different shawarmas using the same chicken, but they're all going to come out different, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like we try to perfect every single thing about a shawarma, and I've been eating it for the last 6-7 years now, and recently I just started posting every day when I'm eating my lunches.
That's great. That's great.
I was gonna say I had to retweet that one because I saw it the other day and I was so jealous because I don't have. We have one here, but we don't have a good shawarma stand. So that's of course the iconic one. That's why I retweeted to say, man, I can't wait to talk Bitcoin and shawarmas with this guy because look, I don't have a lot of Bitcoin friends, and I don't have a lot of friends that know the brilliance of a shawarma.
It's brilliant.
It's crazy.
It's brilliant. And then we also use sorry, Dan, but we also use Like we also use this like homemade flatbread,
Yeah.
and then the flatbread we coat it, we glaze it with chicken fat that comes like drips down from the chicken spit, and then we toast that on the panini press, and so the bread also comes out like super crispy and crunchy. It's amazing. I love it.
I have, Pablo, we have to go to Toronto, Canada, and to Tahinis. I want this right now. I'm so craving shawarma. When we're done, I'm gonna go and Postmates and see if there's actually any shawarma in LA. There has to be. So my story with shawarma. I guess so. When I was in my 20s, I was living on what I like to call shawarma Straße. Straße is German for street. We are in Denmark, but anyway, Shawarma Straße. So this is where a lot of people have immigrated to live in this area around this street. It's called Nørrebrogade, like coming out of downtown Copenhagen. And every second, every third shop is a shawarma shop. You get amazing shawarma there. But I must say the best shawarma I've had is in Dubai Media City in the food court, where there was it might actually be an Egyptian shawarma restaurant, or a restaurant in general, where they had this also homemade bread, fairly large shawarma. I think maybe it's $5-6 American dollars, but the best. Like nice, juicy yet crispy chicken, lots of the garlic paste in it, lots of garlic. And then what is crucial for me always when eating shawarma is I need to have that chili sauce that you just put it on, like for each bite you take. For each bite, you gotta make sure you have that, perfect level of chili.
It seems like you guys are pro shawarma eaters. I'm sitting with the right crew right here.
Amen.
Bitcoin brings a lot of the same minds and tastes together, and shawarma is probably one of them.
That's right.
Yeah, but no one knows that the best tasting shawarma ever is the one at 2 a.m. after the clubs, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll come out you probably had a light dinner, and then with 2 a.m. coming after the club, you just get that shawarma and you just pound it.
100%. It hits different because like it's very rich, so it really hits different. And then we have a location in downtown London, and this is a funny story. And we open late for the bar night, like the club crowd, the bar crowd that comes out after the bar closes. So we had a customer walk in one time, and he was like, guys, your shawarma saved my ass. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the other weekend I got out of the bar and I came here for shawarma, and I got pulled over on my way home. And when the cop came closer to smell my breath, all he could smell was the shawarma. Right?
Oh, God.
And I avoided getting a ticket for that, right?
Wow.
Nice.
So he's like, from now on, every single weekend when I go out drinking, I'm coming for shawarma afterwards. I don't care.
You know what? It also just the alcohol in his blood just lowers a little bit, before he actually hits the street in a car. Shawarma, no doubt for sure, is a lifesaver. Ali, we have a question here from Adi BTC. I don't know if you can see the screen.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, Richard. Yeah.
What did you make? What made you want to come on and talk to these guys?
They just simply asked, and I obliged. I'll come talk to anybody about Bitcoin. I never can talk enough about it. So.
And Puppy, tell us. This is really what we're explaining. Anyone we reach out to that is a Bitcoiner. Our tiny toxic happy hour here. Everybody is loves to come on, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Like I said, I was doing this all started. Andrew and I were talking. Like you say, man, I wish I would talk Bitcoin 24/7 if I had enough people. You know, your family's tired of hearing you, your friends. And, you know, Angela and I struck up a friendship about 2 years ago. And that's what I say, you know, I just stop by, have a beer, I'll call him. And 2 hours went by, 3 hours went by, and I realized that, you know, I think I got a boyfriend here, you know. So we're talking all the time. But then we just realized, you know what? There's a lot of good conversation. Let's just post it. And I remember Daniel Prince reached out and just said, hey, you know, when beer and Bitcoin talk? And sure enough, through him, just reaching out, anyone that we've asked, that's what I love about the Bitcoin community. You know, from HODL or Not, American HODL, John Vallis, you know, all these people, you just send them a note, and it's absolutely let's get our calendars straight. And yeah, I can't say enough about the guests we've had. I haven't met one bad person in crypto. They're all, that's the one thing, or in Bitcoin, I should say. I hate the term crypto.
Yeah. Did you just say crypto here?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yep.
We might need to do 10 episodes where you're banned.
I got to do a shot or something. I don't know. I don't know where it came. Let me. I'll get it out of my system and also say blockchain there.
Good luck. Good luck. We have some of the best memers in the Toxic Happy Hour chat in our hang around crew here, and I think you're gonna hear from that crypto thing. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I'll look forward to see what kind of memes come out of that.
Oh, this is gonna be all over Twitter, Pop.
Timestamp it.
No, but honestly, like before, when I was just a lurker, you know, reading up and watching Bitcoin Twitter, it was kind of like I didn't know how the community was going to react, because you can see them, like, you know, they can get really aggressive when somebody attacks Bitcoin or anything like that. So I had no idea what to expect. Yeah. But as soon as we got on, we realized that, you know, the Bitcoin Twitter community is one of the best, kindest, most educated, friendliest communities that we've ever seen, and we love them for it. You know, they supported us too, like when we made the announcement, and they've shown us nothing but love, and it's been awesome. But at first we were a little scared.
You know, it's funny, in the U.S. there's a phrase, well, especially for military, is no better friend and no worse enemy. So no better friend than a Bitcoiner, and no worse enemy than a Bitcoiner. Exactly. And once you cross that line and say something like crypto, Jesus, I better go watch my follower count drop right now.
Yeah,
they're great people.
I gotta be honest, like I have a hard time now even concentrating on this conversation, thinking about Puppy just said crypto. And,
it's okay, Dan. It's okay. Let it slide.
No. What you gotta know, Ali, is we love giving each other as much shit as possible. So we both, you know, and people in our in that football and Bitcoin chat we had on Twitter. We always have to think about what we say, because if you say something that can be misinterpreted or in any way abused with a meme, you will be hit upon for weeks and months. So I just think, let's end it there. Let's not be tough on PUBLORD. I just want to end it with, you know, I just want to put it out there, you know, instead of PUBLORD, maybe it should be CryptoLord. And that's it. We're going to end it right there on that note.
And that's what we were joking about in our chat room, was sometimes, because we have a few of the other great meme guys in there, but some of the best memes that we do never make it onto Twitter or Bitcoin Twitter, and they stay in the room. And I mean, it's just brutal in a good way.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hardcore memes on Bitcoin Twitter, but in this chat, Ali, the kind of heat these guys are giving each other and me, I can't meme, so you know, I'm just taking hits in there, man. So you got to understand, when he says crypto, it's it's a
Yeah.
gift
Yeah.
for me. It's godsend. But to move on from that, Plan Marcus has a great idea, I think. So we should have a $100,000 shawarma party. Maybe we can arrange something at Tahini's that whoever can make it. Let's have a shawarma event going on. We need some.
100%.
Even better. How about? I was going to say, how about $100,000 party? I say, you got to have for when people are walking off the yacht, you got the shawarma stand there to send them home with.
That's right.
I love that idea. Could you do that, like remote location, make that happen? I mean, imagine the kind of publicity you would get that Tahini delivered the shawarma for this historic moment in time, the $100,000 yacht party, and Tahinis will be there. And this is the way also we get you, Ali, your crew to the $100,000 yacht party.
Yeah, I'm down. I already like arranged kind of a meetup / party on December 12th at one of our locations in London, and people are coming from Toronto. So we're 2 hours away from Toronto, right? People are coming from Toronto, from Montreal, from Windsor, and they're all coming to this meetup / party that I organized, and it's exciting, man. Like when Bitcoin hits 100,000, I'll do anything to just celebrate. I'll do it all. So yeah, I'm down.
Cool. We'll work something out.
So here's a question for you. So how many people now in London like that never would have known about you and Bitcoin? How many people now come in want to talk to you about Bitcoin in London because of you coming out and saying this or with buying it?
Yeah. So we reached out to a lot of people in the community, and it wasn't the feedback back then because we've been reaching out like ever since August, right? Mm-hmm. And the feedback was like, you guys are foolish, you're crazy, you're it's irresponsible, and all the arguments that don't make any sense if you know anything about Bitcoin. So like, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's this, it's that, and like we try to educate about it, and it doesn't stick. We've had success with a lot of people, but I would say most of the people that talk to us, whether it's customers, people in our community, other family members, right? We've had some successes, but mostly it's been negative this whole time. But yeah, we're just gonna keep keep talking about it.
So I think Anders had a good point earlier, and because I remember I was watching Michael Saylor in some interview was it CNBC, and the lady just kept trying to pin him down. So, are you a software company or are you a Bitcoin company? So so at what point are you just making shawarmas out of love and don't care and just give away for free because you're living off your Bitcoin? Just rolling shawarmas all day.
You know what, Pub? That just goes to show you how early we are into all of this. Like mainstream, so-called professional money managers and money people that are on CNBC, they have no idea what Bitcoin really is, right?
No.
And this is like when I saw that interview, I was just laughing so hard. I watched this interview maybe like 5-6 times just to get the satisfaction of that Michael Saylor response at the end.
Yeah, when he says, "Listen, I'm pulling in this much P&L, and I just happen to have all my reserves in Bitcoin." It's like, whatever I ask, are you a cash company or a gold company, or but no one ever asked that. But no, now you're a Bitcoin company, and so I think he set her straight at the end pretty well. But actually, it made no sense. But I think it's fantastic. He's gone his 425 million dollars is now almost up to 700 million since August. Absolutely crazy. Love it.
Yeah, and kudos for him, man. He's a leader in the space, and we've learned like so much from this guy. And I want to shout out to Michael Saylor if he's listening. And
probably not. I wish, but probably not.
You never know, man. Like, but the point that he was trying to make is so important, that he was basically saying, like, look, if I have this much cash in my reserves and I make 50 million a year, every year my company does, but the money is getting debased, I'm pretty much losing the same much, if not I'm losing the same amount, if not more.
Yeah.
Right. And
absolutely.
What how this relates to normal people is that, if you just have a job or a business or anything like that, if you're not increasing your income by 15 to 20% every year for the rest of your life, you're not going to be able to catch up.
Yeah.
Right.
And absolutely. And that's what we have found. The worst part of it all is, the big lie called the consumer price index, that there's only 2% inflation. When Saylor just knocked that argument down and said, listen, he talks about bonds he used to be able to buy at a certain price, and everything is closer to 20%. If you want to know what true inflation is, and that's what he's saying. Why in the hell am I staying in a position where I'm losing 20% every year? That's absolutely nuts.
100%, and it's sad because like it's like people's retirement is running away from them at a 10 to 20% per year clip, right? Like you're literally stealing people's happiness and time and effort, and like the majority of the population doesn't increase their income by 10 to 15% a year, right?
No way.
And like, and you have to do that for the rest of your life just to catch up. So it's really, it boils my blood that this is happening, and Bitcoin is the solution for that. If people want to save their lives and their families and their business, they should learn more about Bitcoin and go on a freaking Bitcoin standard, because you have to adapt, man. Like the world, like COVID flipped the world upside down.
Yeah.
If you as a person can't, educate yourself and learn about what's happening in the world, then you're gonna suffer, right? And you're gonna drown in money. Basically, you're gonna drown in money that's worthless.
Yeah,
right?
We call that, and this one's for you, Greggy. We call it dirty fiat, or dirty feet, as Greggy sees it as. He's in the chat. Because, I don't call, US dollar or euro, money anymore, because years ago, when I was trying to understand what is money, to better understand what is Bitcoin and why is Bitcoin actually money, I read in the dictionary that money can store value. All right, it's about storing the fruits of your labor to your future self, to your your kids, whatever, over time. And with this monetary system, they're stealing that value. So because fiat currency cannot store value, it's not money. But Bitcoin definitely is money, because it has the hard cap on 21 million units.
100%. You know what it's like, Dan? Like it's like the concept of savings have been engraved in us ever since we started earning our first pennies, right? In the idea of piggy bank, right? So whatever money you save, you put it in the piggy bank and you expect it to be stored safely, right? But what's actually happening in the world is the banks, the real life piggy banks where we all put our money in, they don't operate like a piggy bank, right? They have a little hole in the back, right? And then they reach in, they take your money, they lend it out to A, B, C, D, and whoever. And in doing that, they're essentially printing more fiat because, like if you think about it from if you're buying a house, for example, you take out $1 million mortgage, you're paying that over 30 years, you're paying like 1.2 or 1.3 million, right? That 300,000 extra is basically money added to the system, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's happening on a scale of trillions.
Yeah.
Not to mention the money printing that's being done by the central banks.
Right. Well, and that's what the ridiculous part of it. You put, for every dollar you put into a bank, your account, they're lending out 99, and they're collecting what kind of interest off that? I mean, it's just, in a way, it's evil, and that's why we're in Bitcoin for part of it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And what's hard is because we're swimming in this sea of fiat, thinking it's normal, because for 50 years, since 1971, we haven't known anything else. This is normal to us. And I remember reading a book on basically on simplifying your life. And it was actually called Your Money or Your Life, choosing, what's valuable to you. I mean, magazines or maybe a few classic books, but paring down. This guy was showing people how to pare down and live off their savings. And I still have a copy of this book, and I laugh at it because when he wrote it, okay, his game plan for people was all these dollars that you're saving when you're cutting all these expenditures was to go down and buy a Treasury bill, which at the time was offering like between 10 and 12%. So the book is so dated now, obviously, because now what do you get? You're almost at negative yielding. And this was the advice he was giving then. He unfortunately died of cancer at a young age, but he's rolling over in his grave thinking this was the advice you could do then. You could live off your savings, Yeah. And that's and Saylor talks about that. So what do we, what does he tell his father? Now you gotta teach yourself about stocks and bonds to keep any value. Which ones to buy. It's absolutely ludicrous. Although the stock market isn't a bad place anymore because since we found out, we got that one going. Since what we found out is that the Federal Reserve is going to prop up a lot of good corporations. So if you know which corporations are going to be saved, just put your money there. If you don't have Bitcoin,
it's crazy how you have to be like a hedge fund. Just in order to catch up with inflation and save up for your retirement. That's nuts, and most people are gonna fail at that, and it's ridiculous. Like it really bothers me, right? And most people that I know, they don't invest a lot.
Sure.
It's either in cash or maybe some real estate, but the idea of why savings is important is non-existent because, the way it's like a mentality, like we've been kind of like we grow up knowing that money devalues and debases over time. Yeah. So we kind of want to spend it more.
Yeah, right? It gets me though because they lie to you about the value of the debasement when they tell you it's only 2% versus 20. So when I was listening to you on a separate interview, I remember you of course talking about your dad when you moved to Canada. Your parents are getting to an age where they're going to retire. But it's pretty interesting. I'd like to hear. There's a lot of there's some podcasts with different folks that are really addressing the baby boomer generation. But with your dad, what was his take when you told him about Bitcoin, and how does he see it now? What's his view on it?
Yeah, so my dad, my parents actually, I got them into Bitcoin.
Nice.
Way back in April, and
way back.
I love that.
Way back.
It just shows how early we are. That way back is in April. Like, you say one normal year is like 7
Oh,
dog years, but in
yeah.
Bitcoin it's like
Uh,
1 month is 7 years in Bitcoin land. Way
I
back in April. I love it.
I
But
think
like price wise, it's a long time
It
ago.
it is. Yeah, you're right.
I'll let you get back to your story, but I tell you, I think today may be my 3-year anniversary. It'd be very beginning of December. I made my first Bitcoin purchase, and
Nice.
Crypto.
oh, dude, I bought my first crypto. Hey, oh wait, hang on. There's a dip on Ripple right now. Let me go buy it. No, no, because but I know 3 years. I put a meme out once. The old lady from Titanic, because this is the feeling. It's been 84 years, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I absolutely get where you're going from. So yeah, so your dad back in April. Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I just saw a comment that says 2020 was an amazing decade. It's just
Yeah. Wait. Where was that?
Yeah.
Why do I not see that? I want to bring it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. It was.
Yeah.
It was well, it was a very special, different decade. I just want to touch on because you said something earlier, Pablo, that I really like. You were talking about more people being financially independent, and I think and this is one of the reasons I truly love Jeff Booth, what he's saying, and we have him on the Toxic Happy Hour Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time next week. So, as he's talking about, there's a huge deflationary pressure on all goods and services in terms of every year, every month, we get better and more economic at producing them. So the natural way for prices is to go significant down. And back in 1873 to 1892, a 20-year period, was the 20 years that US saw the biggest growth in productivity. It went from index 30 to 79. And once we can get away from this terrible regime of current, dirty fiat monetary system, and we get to sound money, a Bitcoin system standard, which we will come to because you can't fight Bitcoin, and people do want a better money. It will happen automatically, and we're watching it play out in real time as it goes. As I got into it, you guys got into it. We tell loved ones about it, and what I want to say in connection to what you said, Puppy, is more people will be financially independent in the future because our salaries naturally go up and the prices of goods naturally go down. So once we're rid of these tyrants, these terrible people diluting our fiat currency, by nature, much more people will be able to be put in a position where from their savings, which increases in value, buying goods and services to survive that decrease in value, instead of having way less than 1% of the population being financially independent, we can move towards a society where people can be financially free to a much larger extent. And we won't have to work as hard with a financial gun to our head every month, fighting to pay the rent next month, as so many people do. But we'll live in as he says, an abundant future, where we can spend our resources in trying to solve cancer, other diseases. Things will get cheaper.
100%. And just to add to your point, Dan, like, when we want to get somebody down the rabbit hole, we tell them you need to read 3 books, right? You need to read the Bitcoin Standard to understand about money, to learn about money, and you need to read The Internet of Money by Andreas Antonopoulos to understand the technology behind Bitcoin. And then you need to read The Price of Tomorrow by Jeff Booth to understand where the future is going, right?
Yeah.
And those 3 books, in my opinion, they come at it from different angles, and it's probably the best way to get an introduction into Bitcoin. So
Yeah,
I just wanted to add that.
No, those are all
It's
classics.
great. I mean, what a hardcore Bitcoiner we have here from Tahinis in Canada.
Well,
Puppy, you go.
Yeah. So one of the things, since you of course came on board in MicroStrategy, what's been amazing to me to see Michael Saylor coming into the space was you couldn't create a better CEO to be a representative of Bitcoin. How quickly he assimilated everything, but he's also one of the thought leaders. I mean, he's literally one of the guys that has new ideas. So what I want to ask is this: he changed my thinking on what hyper Bitcoinization actually looks like, because everyone just assumed it was going to be, yeah, store value, medium of exchange, then a unit of account. So my question, he's got a store value proposition of, will Tahinis ever sell their Bitcoin versus, or do you just leverage against it?
Yeah, that's what you do, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I never thought about it before that argument. I never crossed my mind.
Yeah, it boggles me sometimes how many people call it a currency. We never viewed it as a currency from the beginning, and it's right now the best use case for it is a store of value, a treasury reserve asset, and like the point that Michael Saylor did, we have so many better technologies for fast payments that are way more efficient than Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And even from a tax perspective, like if you run a business, you know how much of a nightmare it is to get Bitcoin payments, because when you receive it, then you sell it, you have to pay taxes on the capital gains of when you received it, but you have to sell it because you have to pay your suppliers, right? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So
yeah, listen, when I buy a shawarma from you, you're getting my dirty fiat for it. I'm not paying for it in Bitcoin.
100%. And we've been saying this, like, because we got a lot of people saying like, hey, do you guys take Bitcoin? Like, no, do not spend your Bitcoin, right? Just hodl that, give us fiat. We have to pay expenses. We have to pay labor. We have to pay food costs, all of that, right? And then we buy Bitcoin with our reserves. And that's how I think it's going to scale for many businesses, right?
Yeah.
But using it as payments, I think that's just silly for now. Until there's no tax implications on selling it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, until that goes away, it's just buy and hodl.
You get no argument from me, man. I don't know. I'm not sure what the Canadian laws are, but in the U.S., if you hold your Bitcoin for a year, you only have to pay the capital gains tax, which is much lower. But yeah, to buy and sell or trade within a year, and you're paying at your regular income tax level, is absolutely ridiculous. And that's where, I mean, not to bring up Bcash, but hey, I like crypto. Roger Ver just put the cart before the horse. Not realizing, what we don't have is we don't have a payment problem in the world. We don't have a problem with a peer-to-peer transfer of value at that moment. Okay.
Yeah.
What we have is we are starved for a store of value, and he missed the boat on that. And I don't know who's out there propping up Bcash these days, but it was he rolled the dice, he lost the argument, and here we are.
Yeah, it's silly for him to think that, like you only have, like, you really just have to run a lemonade stand for a year just to figure this point out, right? And the fact that he was trying to chase payments and this and that, like, that was never the reason we got into it. That was never the reason most Bitcoiners that I see and talk to go and buy it for. It's just people, because also the use of the word currency, I think it makes people think towards, like, comparing it to what their idea of a currency is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see, like, smart people like Ray Dalio show off on his knowledge about what a currency is, missing the whole point that it's not even a currency, right? He doesn't get it, right? So it's pretty cool that not a lot of people get it. We love that because that's why that's part of the reason why we were able to get in at such a decent price. Eventually, more and more people will get it, and yeah, it's just gonna snowball from there.
Yeah, there's the speed of information, which today with the internet is very fast. But did Bitcoin become global money in January 2009? No, because the speed of knowledge and understanding, between human beings is not as fast as the speed of information on the internet. And imagine we're here almost 12 years later, and it's still early for the by far superior money, which is the most important commodity on the planet, because it makes up half of any transaction. Whatever you're selling goods and service, on the other side is money equaling that value. And still, after 12 years, people have just been brainwashed into believing that the currency that we have now is money. People think it's money. It's not.
Yeah. And that's really thanks to, honestly, to all the Bitcoiners out there. We all the amazing content and material and books that are out there right now, it makes it easier for newcomers to just go down the rabbit hole and dig deeper, because you have to be it's a lot harder to do that 4 years ago. A lot harder. There wasn't enough material. There wasn't enough content out there, right?
I got to jump in on this one. Yeah, because way back in early 2020 when you started, there's a lot of good material. Like you say, in 2017,
months,
there was nothing. There was only a few things. Hell, there was only 4 coins listed on Coinbase when I FOMO'd in. That was it. But you're right.
Yeah. And we were able to fully understand, or I don't want to say fully because you can never really fully understand it, but to a good degree, understand what Bitcoin means for us, and make that switch for our personal wealth and our corporation in a few months.
Yeah,
it took us 3-4 months to devour all the content that was out there. But you gotta want to do it, right? And people have to go after it, man. They have to want to learn about it, be curious, think outside the box, and you just gotta do the research.
I heard that there was always one. I do some memes on this one too. In a couple of years when someone says, "Oh, you bought Bitcoin in 2017? You're so lucky." I'm gonna punch them right in the face, because they have no idea. They don't know what it's like to watch your investment go from $17,000 down to $3,300, and writing that thing down, and you're saying, "Man, I trust my Bitcoin in this space, and I trust Bitcoin." And now you get to write it back up, but they have no idea. Like you say, the 3 years it feels like 84.
Exactly.
On there.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a great story. If someone's ever talked to Michael Saylor again, I want to hear it again. But he, one of my favorite ones, he once wrote a company stock down from, I forget how many hundreds, down to a penny stock. Okay, and he didn't get fired as CEO, and he wrote it back up. And I remember writing about that, damn, if you want to talk about a dude with a strong hand that'll never sell, to ride your company stock down to pennies and back up. Hey, this is our guy, man.
100%. He gets it from. Everybody will have a backstory and a framework on understanding Bitcoin. He understands the digital scarcity part. Just the and the proof of that is in the domain names that he ended up selling for $30 million or something like that.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that story? The first story, where the guy wanted to offer him $30,000, and he kept saying no. and he rode that up to. I mean, that was. Dude's a hard businessman, dude. What a great guy.
Yeah, that was a great story. So yeah, he gets it. You know, everybody has their own framework. He went through like a situation in Argentina where he lost a lot of money because of debasement of the currency. Mm-hmm. We went through a similar thing, with our parents, and they lost a significant amount of their wealth due to currency inflation of the Egyptian pound. Like everybody will have a framework built in somehow. You just gotta reach in and question it sometimes.
There's a American movie called Bull Durham about baseball, and I think about this somehow. I got turned into a meme. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I will. But basically, it's a minor league baseball team. The pitcher is this young hotshot who's he's going to the major leagues. Okay, but he's making a stop here. The catcher is played by Kevin Costner, and he's just this old, washed out, just a veteran of the minor leagues. He's been there. He never made. I think he had like one show in the majors, but the guy's older, has all the experience. Okay, so he's been he's been in the minor leagues for 20 years and knows about life and everything else. But the young hotshot comes in, and he's pitching a wonderful game. And Kevin Costner as a catcher puts down the sign for what the pitcher's supposed to throw. And Kevin Costner asks for a pitch, and the guy's like, no. I want to bring the heater. I want to bring the heat. And he puts the sign down again, I think, for a curveball. No, man. I want to bring the heat. And so he's the catcher. He looks up at the batter and says, "Can you believe this shit? This guy has a 2-hitter from what I've been telling him, and he's shaking me off."
Yeah.
And then he says like this he goes, "Listen, the heater's coming. Have fun." And he throws that ball, and he tags that thing. It's sort of like, because it's sort of like that guy that wants to have. You know what? You're telling a guy, just buy Bitcoin. Just buy Bitcoin. And he goes, "No, I like the shit coin. I want the shit." And he tees off on that ball, just a home run. Ruins his. And he goes out to the mound, the catcher, and finally the pitcher realized, "You told him I was going to throw, didn't you?" It's like, yeah. So from that point on, the film goes in. Every time he puts down a hand, you see the pitcher just nodding. It's like, just stick with Bitcoin. Stay away from shit coins, or you're going to get wrecked.
Yeah. 100%.
Amen.
We're glad that we're. Like the first article we read was Bitcoin and the number 0, and Robert Breedlove talked about path dependence and the concept of path dependence, and that just made sense for us why Bitcoin will be the one and only winner, because you can really have, like, when you're competing for money, you can really have the one best money. Everything else is gonna lag behind. So we're grateful for that, and that's also another reason why I think like Bitcoin's gonna eat gold's lunch. Like gold was a store of value in last century, right? Yeah. But now, because we have Bitcoin, because it has better monetary properties, because it's a better store of value, because it doesn't, inflate like gold does. Like gold is going to turn more into a shitcoin, basically, and it's going to be a scam at the end, just because Bitcoin is a better technology, right? And I hear a lot of people saying like, "Oh, gold and Bitcoin are cousins."
Yeah.
I'm like, that idea is kind of like saying, like Google Maps and the original like paper map company were cousins.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. The better store of value will win all.
You can't
sort of thing. Right?
You can't have it both ways. It just reminds me of a story, because I remember you were talking about. I think when you're first going to Canada, your father's withdrawals were limited to just like $1,000 at a time or something. And you told a story about VJ, because I heard VJ say the very same thing as a kid, remembering how nervous his dad was because he had all this gold and he was trying, you don't want to smuggle it out, but look, it's your money and you're trying to leave with it. And when you factor that, just another, an unconfiscatable store of value that you literally can just memorize, I mean, it's unheard of in human history.
Changes the game.
It absolutely does.
Changes the game, keeps everybody honest, keeps the it gives freedom to the people. It keeps, the governments honest, the dictators honest, the corruption at a low, because, you're with a Bitcoin standard, people can get exposed like this, right? Yeah. And if governments treat their citizens poorly, they're just going to leave with all of their wealth, and the governments can't stop it. Imagine my father had to work 35 years accumulating wealth, right?
Yeah.
Storing it in Egypt as real estate and fiat, okay? And then wanting to retire here in Canada, and then the governments, the banks tell him no, right?
Yep.
And he couldn't do anything about it, right? He had to go back to Saudi Arabia to work for an extra 5 to 6 years to fund his new home in Canada.
Yeah. And
during those 5 years, the Egyptian pound dropped 65% against the US dollar.
So you're primed already, and that's the thing. The West is funny. You can have some play money. You see Bitcoin, you can buy it, number go up, technology and all this. But it's rare that we get a chance to talk to someone that actually lived through, a damn currency collapse, and that store value. That's not really an issue here. We know the dollar, of course, inflates a year, loses value. But damn, 65% that's harsh.
That's just, like your whole, some people store all of their wealth in fiat, and they just somebody worked his whole life accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
You just, that just stole half of his life away.
Right? Yeah. And I'll tell you how valuable, and this is how bad it is. We call the US dollar the dirty fiat. Okay. And it is to us.
It is.
But in other countries, okay, with other currencies,
it's worse.
This is the Bitcoin standard to them, and because the U.S. dollar at least is semi-stable compared to what their currency is. And I was in a country, and I remember the exchange. If I went to an ATM, was 3 to 1. I would get three of whatever we call it, they're dingbats, whatever you want to call it. We would get 3 for every dollar. Okay. But the value of the dollar is so strong on their black market there. I'm not recommending anyone go to a black market. I just knew the rate. But you would go there and you would get 20 to 1 for for a US dollar. I mean, just 7 times your money because they're just trying. Yeah. And so I had been in Africa before. You just see a card table on the side of the road with just a mountain of cash piled on there. They're just trying to get rid of it for anything.
And you know what the crazy thing is?
Yeah.
Pub, is that, I've lived in Egypt, right?
Yeah.
And the only way I could get dollars was actually through those black markets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're not called black markets. They're just called like side markets or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like the exchange rate was way higher than what the banks were quoting, right? And that's the reality that, like what you see, the numbers you see on the news and stuff like that, it's not accurate.
It's a lie. And I told a friend of mine, they talk about the world's oldest profession. So, well, it's honest. I mean, someone's sacrificing beauty for money, but I said black markets or whatever side markets, whatever you want to call it, that's where you find what the honest value of money is. That's where you find the most honesty,
Yeah, because unless you're like connected or high up in society, that's what you can use to get what you want.
Amen.
Yeah.
Anders.
Ali, yeah.
Anders, yeah. I
I'm
make fun of Anders
practicing.
all the time. Yeah, I make fun of Anders all the time for talking over guests and never shutting up. But I gotta admit, he's doing a bang up job this show.
Yeah, it's and you're making it look really easy for me now, Poppy, because you got 4 or 5 times as much talk time as me, which I'm happy for. I'm happy for, because you got a lot of great input, and
Well,
you're making
listen,
me
man.
look better, man. Thanks.
Hey, listen. When you find out the show is also about shawarmas, then you can't help but smile. Shawarmas and Bitcoin, man.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Like, I will look. I need some shawarma delivery after this, and I really want to come and taste
Get it.
Tahinis. I really do.
You're more than welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Come over. It'll be my treat.
Yeah, man.
I'll take care of you all the way, and it'll be a pleasure.
And Ali, I really want to get you back on. I'm sure Poppy feels the same, because I mean, I didn't really know you before our show today. A little bit about you guys converting your treasury to Bitcoin. That was they know something. They're pretty smart. But you know so much about Bitcoin. Actually, the depth of your knowledge is really, I think, awesome, and has given for a great show and a lot of great input to our audience. The best chat in this space, as I say.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. No, it's an honor for me to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
I like the way you went into it too. It's the same way I did. Is you buy Bitcoin and then you say, "Well, what the hell did I just buy?" Because that's a true Bitcoiner, man. You just buy it and then find out what you just bought, and you'll never go back.
That's true, and that's you kind of do that with a lot of things, especially in investing. Even with public companies, you kind of buy something and then you really start to learn about that company or about that investment after you buy it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things.
Oh, wait, quick question. Gosh, because I make mental notes when like I say, I try to look at old podcasts or questions and stuff. Did you ever fall down a dirt coin rabbit? I'm trying to keep it clean. A dirt coin rabbit hole, or have you been Bitcoin 100% all the way? Like I went. Dang, very good, man.
Bitcoin all the way.
Look, I'm sorry, Ali. He's not called Crypto Lord for nothing.
Yes,
you're gonna hear for this, puppy. I love it. Thank you, man.
Hey, that's it. Listen, Anders is the usual whipping boy in our chat room. So, look, if I can take the heat off for a bit.
Yeah, no, and for that, I really appreciate you taking you're taking one for the team here, Ali. Every morning I wake up and I go, like, one of the first things I go into our little Twitter DM chat group, and I look at all the abuses I receive. Like, I mean, these guys are so good with their memes. We're talking RD, Greggy, Plan Marcus, Labra HODL, and I see all these different memes with my face on, and I'm just being, I just get slapped.
Well, we can drag. Maybe we'll drag Ali into there.
I honestly. So here's my thought about memes. I actually never got to talk about this with anyone, but if you think about memes, they're kind of like, how, like, back in the day we had newspapers and we had caricature like drawings with very significant messages in them, and sometimes these drawings would have major thought changing ideas to people in many different ways, right? And in the digital age, the memes are actually those type of art, right? Like they're this type of message, and people can relate to an image so much, and an image can say, like, can relay a message sometimes better than what normal people can, right? So I think, you know, the meme community in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin meme community, has a huge impact on on thought in the space, because it's just like, it's, for me, it's like a vital element to this community, and I love it. I'm hoping we can get some like shawarma memes, maybe.
We'll work on that. Well, you know, it's funny. It's like there used to be a saying that basically a novelist was a failed short story writer who was a failed poet. Okay, so and what that means is this: brevity and preciseness and conciseness in word or image to convey. It takes a certain level, I think, of intelligence and insight. So yeah, when you can, like I say, this community, when you can take an image and a few place well words and put that out to the world that understands, like the printer goes burr, for example. That meme, what, you know, really took off. You know, be humble, stack sats. There's just been so many classics through Bitcoin already, just to get the word out to people, where someone just sees the image and then lets them do the deep dive down the rabbit hole. But you're absolutely right, man. So we have a blast with it. Yeah, everyone, the meme game is great, especially now. Anyone can go on, download an app, and put their own twist on it. Fantastic.
So Ali, here's I think a great point from. I mean, there's so much good stuff going on in the chat. I'm pulling some up. I can't comment on all of it because we got a conversation going, but I'm pulling up some good stuff. Wait, let me just get the judgment from the crowd. You got it right there. Ali says start. And this
Thank
one, this is important. This is important.
I love HODL.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You heard talk about the Bitcoin citadels, and we want Tahinis in every single citadel. Are you going to provide that, buddy?
Let's do it. I'm down, 100%.
Awesome. All right, I'll look for other stuff in the chat. Poppy, take it away with some good questions, man.
Oh man, I don't know about questions. Just one mad respect. You know, Michael Saylor, of course, he had his yachts, had his millions, and all of this, and he went all in, which is fine. But you know, at the time, I remember, you know, you're coming out of a COVID-19 thing where the small businesses are crushed, and that hurts, that angers me more than anything else. Is how they continually crush the small businesses. But out of this, from March, that you still went in on Bitcoin, man. I'm just saying, all respect, brother. That, I mean, I think it's fantastic. And yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy. I gotta tell you,
Wow.
So when March hit, all of our restaurants hit a brick wall in terms of sales. Sales like slumped like 80% in like a week. So you know, when you go through that, it's literally going through torture, because you don't know at that point. We don't know what the future holds. Is it gonna continue like this? You know, is it gonna get worse? Gonna get better? Like, we had no idea. And you know, we all were 3 partners in the corporation. All of us went to manage a location, and we basically worked day and night, from you know, prepping in the morning to washing dishes to everything, right? Serving people to cleaning up at night. And during this crisis, I had my AirPods on, and I was listening to podcasts and books about Bitcoin. So I was actually consuming Bitcoin as I was going through this crisis at the business. And yeah, like you have to really want to learn about this. And you know, if you really want to do it, you have no excuse. You know, if you don't do it right now, you're gonna miss out on a lot.
Yeah, I heard your story, and I remember you talking about, and I don't understand how Canada was this messed up, but we are in America as well, where you were trying to get people to come back, but they're making more money sitting on their ass at home.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because this spring, March and April especially, Anders and I, we talked all the time because I was teleworking at the time, but I'd take an afternoon off. But I would love to go out to support my local businesses, which included our little sports bar pub here, and they were only open. 'Cause I've known the owner for years, but they were down. Yeah, I think you said 80%. I think they were down 70% from normal, but they had a tent outside where that you could do takeout. And
Yeah.
some of the hardcore people, and Anders will tell you this. I used to come up here. Some of the hard would you ride your bike or drive up here. She'd bring out stairs, but we'd come in to help keep it propped open. Buy a few beers, but hell, half our conversations on Bitcoin were during this whole COVID thing for 4 months. I remember just standing outside with a beer, helping support my small business and my community. So hats off to you, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like the small businesses are, if you're a sit down restaurant, you're finished. You're being pushed into bankruptcy at this point, right? And we're having another wave of lockdowns now coming. It's ridiculous, man. And we were in a good position to be like transition to online and takeout and delivery. Because our infrastructure was already set up that way. So
nice.
We made the shift. The transition was easier for us. But yeah, like we feel bad for all the other businesses.
So I can't believe it, but I mean, after an hour and a half, and somehow Anders has held off because he always likes to go for the price prediction, and what you see, what you see for the future of big. Yeah, I mean, this is usually that's within 5 minutes, but yeah. So what do you see? Listen, you haven't been to a bear market. You started at the bottom, so I'm kind of jealous there. But yeah, what do you see in the next couple of years? I know you must know about Plan B. Are you a supporter? Do you think it's viable? So what do you see moving forward with Bitcoin?
So it's definitely interesting, but I wouldn't want to put my faith in just a model based on previous statistics, right? It has been accurate so far, but the way I look at it is that, okay, what's the big picture here, right? Gold is a black hole that's sucking in store of value from gold, from bonds, and from real estate premiums, and from equity premiums, right? So it's not just gonna, eat gold's lunch and stop there, right? It's first gonna eat gold lunch, and then it's gonna eat the bond market's lunch, and then it's gonna eat the real estate premiums lunch. And just because it's better at storing value than all of these instruments. So, once it beats gold, that just puts it at 500 to 500 and something thousand per Bitcoin. And that's Bitcoin just starting its journey. So,
amen.
Yeah.
So the timing wise, you can't really know. We can't really know how long it's going to take to get there, but that's where it's headed. That's what we know, and that's what we try to focus on. And yes, we're going to continue to buy Bitcoin with our profits and our excess monetary energy, because this is a train that's not going to stop, in our opinion. And $20,000 per Bitcoin is pretty cheap still, which sounds crazy. Yeah, but it is.
Yeah, there's unit bias. Just real quick, I was going to say unit bias. At some point, we got to switch over to Satoshis as our standard of talking. You'll have more people buying in. All right, Anders, sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. I'm getting used to you talking, Puppy, so that's all good.
Yeah, this is rarefied air for me. I never get this opportunity.
Yeah. So yeah, Ali, as you can see, we love having our banter, giving each other a hard time. It's part of
I
what
love
makes
it.
it fun for us. So I
Yep.
mean, I guess coming in April, you must kind of like agree that this is a bull market. If you agree to that, let me know if not. But if you agree to that, where do you see this going? Do you have any expectations, or don't you care because you got Bitcoin, you trust it long term, you see it, way above 500,000 in the future, or do you have some expectations to where this specific bull run can go and when, like price wise, timing wise?
I always, for myself, for my mental fortitude, I like to give low predictions so that when the high predictions come, I'll be
Yeah.
super pumped up about it.
Yeah.
So my very low prediction for this bull run is 100,000 per Bitcoin, and
Uh,
that's what I feel like everybody agrees on, and and yeah, that's a pretty decent return for us. We're not complaining. Uh, if it doesn't
Yeah.
get if it doesn't get there, we'll be happy. If it gets there and passes it, we'll be more we'll be happy either way, right? So
yeah,
that's the way
and
we
we
look at it.
we don't have to concern so much about short term because we all believe that the end game, whatever the timing may be, is a replacement of the current monetary system, I guess. So I have a bit of the same. I like to put out a target where, so on eToro, I'm bringing it up. I'm putting a lot of my analysis and posts in there. There's a link below. But I like to give a more, because people listen to me and allocate savings to me there, and then whatever I do, they do in real time. That's how it works. So I like to give predictions that I know I feel very comfortable will not let people down. I want to give predictions that people will be positively surprised. Sorry, I just muted you, Poppy, because of the background noise in the pop. Keeping it authentic. But so a couple of months ago, I think 1 month ago, I one of my copyists told me, "Hey, Anders, you got to update your pin post because you're saying that you expect that we can hit 15,000 before the end of the year, and we were already past 15,000." So, oh yeah. Um,
Yeah,
and my medium term, so for me, short term is day trading, medium term is the halving cycle, long term is the end game. And to me, I have upped the medium term target from $200,000 plus to $300,000 plus. I right now can't foresee a scenario with all this COVID stimulus where Bitcoin doesn't reach 300,000 Q1 2022. And honestly, that might be a little bit bearish. I would not be surprised if we go to gold's market cap, which, as you mentioned, is like close to half a million dollar per Bitcoin. I'm getting extremely bullish, to be honest, with what's going on in the world.
I 100% agree with you, 100%. And the reason why, like, I'm just as bullish as you, Anders, and the reason why
Yeah.
I don't tell this to myself is that because it could take, it could take 2 years, it could take another halving cycle. Who knows, right? Like, we believe in this thing that we know it's gonna get there. What difference does it make if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? It's going to get there, right? So like just hodl, man.
Oh.
Puppy, you got audio on. I put you back. I
Oh,
took you
yeah,
out of the
and look,
box a long time ago.
so listen. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's getting loud in here because look, when you're at a pub, there's a football game about to start, so they switched to the football match. Well, actually, football game here in the U.S. No, it's funny that you call Anders bullish. Quite the opposite once you're admitted to the chat room because he's calling for an over 50% pullback after Bitcoin hits its all-time high. So yeah, this is the online on-air challenge for him to sell it all, buy back when it drops 50%. He's so convinced. I think this is what. Long story short, I think this is our escape velocity term. I'm a big fan of Preston Pish. I'm with him. I look. You're in here. MicroStrategy is in here. All the other CEOs and boardroom members are in knockdown, drag out fights, trying to tell them Bitcoin's the future. They'll finally see it as it goes up, and when that happens, it's all over. Corporations, nation states come in. So, yeah.
I just
Go
want
ahead.
to, Ali, I want to give you the word, but I just want to correct Puppy here because I'm not saying I'm selling everything when we reach an all-time high. I mean, according to my judgment, or because I don't only think in round numbers like Puppy that can only do like 19,000 or 20,000, but specifically on Bitstamp, Bitcoin hit 19,667 the 17th of December 2017. So we already passed that on Bitstamp. When I'm talking about all-time high, it's not when we reach this new one, but I'm talking about a peak in 2022, likely early in 2022, which will be for a new period, the all-time high. That's where I, on eToro, am trading this halving cycle and will take some profits, but half a year ago, my strategy there was like, I want the best performance. I'm so sure there will be a bear market, so I'll sell everything. I'll buy it back near the bottom when that comes. But I am turning towards it's more. There's a higher chance that we won't have a bear market. I still believe it will come, but there is a higher chance that we go straight into escape velocity in this halving cycle. So I can't, I got to protect the savings and purchasing power of the people who allocated their savings to me, the so-called copiers. So I can't sell everything. I may only sell 20% because it could be it. This could be it.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing wrong with selling some of your Bitcoin to buy something you're passionate about. But if you're thinking about switching it over to another investment, it's a bad idea. And I wouldn't, we wouldn't be doing that ourselves. But yeah, you should have a plan of what you want to do, like you, Anders, and just try to stick to it. Say I'm going to sell whatever it is, 5%, 10% during this bull run, and you could make a bad call, so just don't regret it. Stay positive. That's why you don't sell out everything, right? Because you could, Anders, you could sell 20%, of at 750,000, and then Bitcoin can continue running to $1 million or 1.5 million, whatever the number is, right? Yeah. So yeah, you could really get that if you, for example, find news of a sovereign nation coming in and putting Bitcoin on the reserves during this cycle, right?
Right.
And what the people that are coming in now, they're not looking into holding Bitcoin for 1 or 4 years or 5 years. These are going to be institutions that are thinking they're wanting an allocation for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right?
So I need to jump in on this one because that was my next question to you, because I believe I heard you in another interview. You were talking about, I think your initial foray or look at this was like, hey, we don't need this for 1 or 2 years. So has your time preference changed because of this? Thinking of looking forward, has your time frame changed about how long to hold it?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I was I was ever wanting to sell it in a couple years. Yeah. But yeah, of course, everything, the more I learn, I'm never gonna stop learning about Bitcoin, right? Yeah. And yeah, the situation that we're in right now, seeing the big players that are coming in, these players are in it for the long game, and if you wanna take profits, take a little bit, but make sure you're still holding a big percentage of your portfolio in Bitcoin. So yeah, that's the way we see it now, and we're in it for the long game, man.
Yeah, we have
I think it's important to
Yeah.
say that no one should sell Bitcoin for dirty fiat gain, because then you don't understand the end game, that is infinity, and your dirty fiat will be worth nothing. What I'm trying to tell PUBLORD and the other guys that I made the bet with, whether there'll be a pullback of 40-50% or more,
Oh, yeah.
is you have people that have been in Bitcoin for a long time, and they will reach, once Bitcoin hits, let's say, $350,000, they will have not only will they be financially independent, they'll be financially independent multiplied by 30 or something, or 50. When you reach that point and you have everything in one asset, as there's no other asset as like safe and like fantastic outlook than Bitcoin, in my opinion. But if you have 30 times financial independence in that one asset, um, it would be the proof, like I think, safe thing to do to take some of that and put it in something else. God forbid something happens, like, be it like, pay off the mortgage on your house, own your own home, buy a car. I don't have a car because I want everything in Bitcoin. They call me bearish, but I'm more all in than PUBLORD here. And all you need in these previous, FOMO tops to crash is you need some time or a little bit of momentum on people coming in and putting more supply on the market. And then we have to agree that, well, you don't have to agree, but I think it's important to understand that so many people come into Bitcoin, especially when the bull run goes like this, that don't know what they bought. They don't know this is the end game. They don't know it's infinity in 5 years. They buy it because they see the graph go like this. They don't know what they bought. Then CNBC shows the graph going like this, and many will panic sell. It's just, there's no way about it. You just need that switch of balance, and then something like a bear can happen. However, if it comes, it's going to be shorter than we've ever seen it before. It'll maximum be like 6-7 months bear market, if it will even happen. And I've been calling infinity since 16.
So
Go,
I'm just
Puppy.
going to jump in just to give Ali some background. I was overseas, and I was getting ready to come back to the U.S., and I had a long flight time. So Anders jumps in, and we have some great guys. Greg Zaj is on a show, and Labra HODL. They did a show together. It's where we first found out that Anders is weak and puts Pepsi in his whiskey. But we also found out there was a bet. And so Andrew was talking about, moving forward, is there any kind of pullback? So he had a bet with Greg that from the all-time high at a certain, the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, what is the pullback of Bitcoin? Because historically it has been these certain rates and extent. So there was a steak dinner and, all you can drink kind of service bet. Andrew says it was going to pull back greater than 50%. Greg said under 50%. Andrew and I did a quick show together. I said, well, I think you both are bearish. I'll say it won't even go more than 40% because I think this is the escape velocity moment. So this is where the whole stake conversation and bet background came from, and why I call him bearish is it's not bearish on the total price. He's bearish on the pullback.
Pullback.
This is the slingshot for me.
You know what, Bob? I agree with you, because if you think about it this way, like you're gonna have big institutions that are going to miss this bull run, right? And once this bull run happens, it's going to be clear to everybody that this is the new money.
This is it,
right? And so these big institutions like maybe Ray Dalio, if he misses this bull run, or other big institutions of the game, like how much, all of these guys, how much of a dip are they gonna like see until they say, okay, let's start accumulating and taking a position. It's not going to be, they're not going to wait for it to dip down to 70%. They're going to buy it as it's going down, and by them doing that, they're going to reduce the volatility of it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're not, in my opinion, I think we're not going to see that pullback of 80% or 70%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have like bigger players that are dampening that volatility, and they're buying into
Spot
Bitcoin
on.
as it's going down.
It's
Dude,
true.
that's 1,000%. Anders, if you want to send me a check for $5,000 to go.
No, the whole
I'll save you the pain. I'll save you the pain.
The whole point is I'm taking you away from your, like, the whole motivation is I want to take you away from your McDonald's Happy Meals. I want to give you some real full. I'm happy to lose this bet because I get to sit down with you and Greggy and enjoy some real solid steak on Burns. I think we're going to go to. And since, Ali, I can say you're definitely coming back and being a part of this show. So therefore, I also want to just introduce you to one of the institutions that we have going on in the Toxic Happy Hour, and that is Plan Marcus, the great memer, who happens to find a red balloon every time in the chat. So there it is on the screen. He found the red balloon.
Awesome.
No, it's fantastic having you on the show. Like I say, you talk about lurking, but yeah, it's cool when you see someone you've lurked in, saw their interviews, and I had respect for everything you did with your not only family life but your business. But we thanks for coming on the show and just sharing this story with us. I mean, this is the great thing about the Bitcoin community is, man, if Bitcoin would ever go to zero, which is impossible, but if ever it did, I got more friends from Bitcoin than I do in real life. In a way, I meet better people. Well, it's a better quality of people, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I love the community, and I love hanging out with you guys. I can come back anytime. Sit and chat. I'd love it. And I'm super pumped that you guys are putting these chats out on. So where is it? Is it on? Just so everybody can know, is it on YouTube and Twitter and?
So I'm using this software called Restream, which is a great interface. It's just browser based, no software download, anything. And that is you can stream out. So you're doing social media Tahinis and doing marketing there. So maybe it's relevant. And in this interface in the browser I have right now, I have the live chat from YouTube. So YouTube is being pulled over. Maybe it can also pull over others, but we're only streaming to YouTube at the moment. We're happy with that. And then as I see it, like I think you can see it the chat as well in your browser window. You can just click on them, pull them over, and we just have the most hilarious guys and great discussions going on there. I just like to integrate it because we are the Bitcoin podcast for the plebes. I think we might call it the Shawarma plebes from now on. But I'm looking forward to meet both of you in person. I've been talking weekly with PUBLORD here for years now. We're yet to meet, and I hope we're going to meet over that ridiculously expensive ribeye at Burns.
And the Pappy Van Winkle. Gotta have some of that.
Yeah. Ali, any plans that you can open a Tahinis in Los Angeles?
100%. Like, so our plans, the business is to basically reach 10 locations here in Ontario, and then start expanding to the US after that. So probably this year, like in 2021, we're planning 4 to 6 locations, and that's going to bring our total to a total of 10 locations overall. And then after that, we're definitely looking into expanding into the States. We don't know which state that's going to be at because we're just focusing on our first goal right now. But man, we're building a model where like we're going to be like the Chipotles of Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cuisine.
Stay away from New York. I can tell you that. Just stay away from New York. They'll close you down. They'll kill you down and still kill you for taxes, man.
Oh, right now in Los Angeles, the restaurants are not even allowed to be open on outdoor sitting anymore. It's really these communist initiatives are just becoming too much. These poor guys running a business, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I was sitting outside and enjoying a steak, and you're not. I mean, it's not really spreading anything. But these same politicians that are making these laws, again and again, they are caught going out to restaurants and breaking the rules that they have implemented themselves, gathering inside, and so they make all these rules for other people because it's best, but I can have fun as a politician. My job is not in danger. I get my salary from your tax dollars. The only way they worry is when there's not enough tax dollars coming in to pay their nicely fixed salaries that they get paid every month, no matter how many businesses they close down. Makes me sick.
They say the rules for thee, but not for me. And I tell you what, man, you want someone on your side. You want Ali. He's been there. He's been there, man. He's been down. He's been down in the trenches about this. This is the world we're living in now, unfortunately. And thank God for Bitcoin. Thank God for Bitcoin.
That's why you gotta opt out of this madness and just buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's that simple. Like it really is.
Early on in the chat, I don't remember who it was. I threw it on the screen, but we were kind of in the conversation there. Someone asked if you're serving shawarmas for Trudeau's voters. I don't know much about Trudeau, but I think he's probably doing a lot of closing down or
beta mail. Just think beta.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
worse than beta.
Yeah, honestly, when right now after Bitcoin, I kind of see the world through a different lens. I don't think politicians or parties have a say on the important things that goes on in the world. And like, if you take an example of 2020, it doesn't matter if we had conservatives or liberals, in control. They were still going to print a shit ton of money, and the effects were going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
And people get caught up a lot into the politics, where it's really not, like, it doesn't really matter. We think that politicians can have influence on little things, but the things that actually matter to us all has nothing to do with the politicians, and it has to do with the central bankers, the people that are running Davos and World Economic Forum, and those kind of people are the people that take the decisions that affect us the most. So I don't give a rat's ass who's in control. Right now, I vote with Bitcoin, and that's just the way I'm gonna look at it from here on out. And I think everybody should just do the same. Politics is draining, don't focus on that. Focus on your family, friends, your loved ones, and just vote with Bitcoin. And that's what you got to do, right? So 2020, I'm out of politics completely.
No, and look, you got an establishment where you can't cut off a group of people and alienate them. You got to focus on making the great food that you're making, and then vote with Bitcoin, because that is the most important. PUBLORD, he just went away to reset his pop node, I think, for a few seconds. When he comes back, which he does now, PUBLORD. So I think slowly Ali is catching up to the fact that we have this thing going on where send a 1-hour calendar invite and we just hang in there as long as we can. And our guests are like, hey, wait, wasn't this supposed to be over an hour ago? The record right now is held by Daniel Prince. We spent 3 hours and 22 minutes
Oh
with
wow.
cats. And the problem for me is these happy hours are early in my work day, so sometimes it gets quite destructive on my productivity, to be honest.
Yeah.
But look, we had you on for 2 hours. I'm really happy that I met you here, and I really want to make it to Toronto. Because as we've been talking about with Bitcoin, as you just have a oh wait, there's unmuted puppy. You just
Oh,
have an
yeah.
understanding and a relationship so fast with Bitcoiners that it is something you don't necessarily get in other social connections in life. And yeah, that's I mean, I'm looking forward to meet Pablo. I'm looking forward to meet you, Ali. I really want to come to Tahinis in Canada, and right now I'm just dying for shawarma. To be honest, garlic, chili, give it to me.
Let's
Um,
do it. Let's do it.
so, but let's do some final words.
Yeah.
Ali, you can start. Thank you very much for coming on the show and enrich us and our audience with your really, I think, great insight. Um, and yeah, really good thought process around Bitcoin in the bigger picture. I really like it. But take some final words, whatever you want to plug. If you got a shawarma menu going on, whatever, man, the floor is yours.
So first, I want to thank you guys for having me, and I want to thank the Bitcoin community, because without them, we would still be in the dark. Without them being so selfless with their knowledge and information and putting the effort to educate others, we would be in the dark, right? So thank you to everybody out there. And if you want to reach out to us, follow us on Twitter at the Real Tahinis. Our DMs are open. Just hit us up there. And if you're interested in a franchise, just let us know on Twitter. Hit us up on our DMs, and we'll be more than happy to take the talks further. And if you're ever close by at a Tahini's in Ontario, just drop by, man. We'll be happy to serve you some good food, and if I'm there, we'll talk some Bitcoin as well. So that's
Excellent.
all.
And I just want to mention for everyone that below in the show notes on YouTube, Ali's Twitter handle is there's a link to his Twitter account. Tahini's Twitter account. So go follow that. I got a feeling we got more and more good Bitcoin content coming from there as well. Poppy, some final words from you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is they're bringing it all full circle, and when Ali and I started talking, sort of in the green room, as you would say before the show, it's like, man, anytime you want to talk Bitcoin, I'm here, and that's how it always starts with most Bitcoiners, man. You're just starved. Everything you read and digest and bring in, and you just want to share it with someone. And so that was great to hear from, because I know to me that's like you met a Bitcoin spirit animal, that someone has done that. So going back, and I remember, like I said, I had never really thought about companies ever putting it on their balance sheet. And so when I heard this from MicroStrategy, it was like, this is sort of strange. But I followed MicroStrategy immediately. But I remember doing it to Tahinis. I said, this is the first restaurant I ever followed back. I mean, just to go all in on it. And yeah, this is the first restaurant I've ever had to follow back on Twitter. But I think it's great. So I listened, and as I listened to Michael Saylor, and as I said earlier, he had something to lose, but was going to be fine. But when you find a small business owner that's always fighting against the big guys in this space, I just had always found it a compelling story. So yeah, shout out to Daniel Prince for the quasi introduction via Twitter. And yeah, man, it's great to meet Ali, virtually like this, and to hear the story, because he brings in so many different aspects, and he brings so many worldly views. And obviously, there's the business side of things, but there's two others. The decided the fact that he comes from a country where a currency gets devalued by 65%. And so that changes his perspective and viewpoint of Bitcoin. But when you have parents that are aging, you're trying to help them in retirement, where do you help them put money? So those are the things that really resonate with me. And yeah, man, thanks for being on the show. And always, people keep stacking sats. Don't over leverage. Just put in what you can when you can.
That's a great message. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, man.
Fair warning, Ali. When we said our goodbyes with Daniel last time, it actually took half an hour. We just continued rolling, but we promise you got a business to run. But I just want to let people know that 5 p.m. Pacific time, Poppy and I are on Drinks and Bitcoiners on Bitcoin Magazine stream. Tomorrow on Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, we have a Toxic Happy Hour with Brady Svensson from Swan Bitcoin, Head of Education. And Monday, 11 a.m. next week, Poppy and I are going to do a two-man show. And then Tuesday, 11 a.m., we've got Jeff Booth. Tuesday, the 8th of December, 11 a.m. Pacific time, and Thursday we have Gigi, 11 a.m. Pacific time. It's mind blowing the kind of people that we get to talk to. And Ali, you brought so much great content. I'm super psyched to have you here. And I guess we gotta call it a show sooner or later. So thank you very much, and to everyone out there, remember, do not place more value in dirty fiat currency because it is designed to lose its value, to take your savings. So careful with that dirty fiat. It's gonna go to zero. Don't place more than you can afford to lose. You had a final word, Ali, or?
No, thank you all. Thank you all, and we'll see you all on Twitter.
Perfect. Amen. See you in the next one.